Hello everybody and welcome to the Mash and Drum Whiskey Room. My name is Jason C. And if you're a subscriber, thanks so much for the support and for coming back to watch. If you're new to the channel looking for the latest in whiskey and bourbon news and reviews, you have found the right place. So hit that subscribe button below and hit that bell notification so you know when I'm releasing a new video, or you could join in on one of my fun live streams. Today is not a bad day. I am very excited because I get to sip all three 2019 releases of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof: the A batch, the B batch, and the C batch. One of my favorite bourbons on the planet, not only for its flavor, but for its value. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is released 3 times a year, and today on the Mash and Drum, we're going to find out which one of the 2019 releases you need to be picking up today. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is a Heaven Hill limited edition released 3 times annually that can claim Whiskey Advocate's Whiskey of the Year 2017 among its many accolades. This cast strength, uncut, unfiltered, 12-year-old bourbon is always delicious and a great value. These have an MSRP of about $55 and can be seen up to about $80, which is still a bargain considering you're getting a barrel-proof 12-year-old bourbon in today's market. Now, as I mentioned, these are released 3 times a year. The first letter of the batch number indicates which of that year's releases the bottle was a part of, starting with A, while the second digit is a number that determines the month of the year the bottle was released. The third and fourth digits indicate the year. Let's face it, all 3 of these are really good. I've tried all 3 of them. I love all 3 of them, but each batch varies in proof and can vary in flavor. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof bourbons also become available differently depending where you are. Sometimes batches release really early, some later, and sometimes you can find older batches as well. So today we're going to blind taste all 3 of the 2019 releases to see which one may be the flavor profile you're looking for. All 3 of these are big, bold in flavor, but there are subtle differences. So let's take a look at the stats for each of this year's 3 releases. So now that you know the stats for the A, the B, and the C batch, I have them all poured. Let's mix them up. All right, so let's get into this blind tasting for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, the 2019 series. So let's start with this one first. We'll call this one A. Now, a lot of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs, if you've never had one before, Heaven Hill has a unique kind of a honey roasted peanut flavor on the nose, and none is more intense than on this Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. This one is really intense, has a really nice nose to it. A lot of cherry and chocolate coming through. Some beautiful oak spice here. This one smells like a rickhouse. Like if you ever walk into a bourbon rickhouse, you get those aromas. It's almost like angel share, just like coming out of the glass. It's really remarkable. Remember, this is a 12-year-old bourbon, and you just don't find 12-year-olds that are just this kind of value. I'm gonna kind of evangelize on and on about Elijah Craig Barrel Proof because I love it so much, but there are differences between the 3 releases, so that's what we're gonna try to find out. Yeah, I like the nose on this one. It's rich, it's cherry, it's chocolate, it's very, very reminiscent of a rickhouse. So let's see what B has to offer. Well, the nose here is pretty similar on this one, but I'm getting more alcohol on this one. This one's coming out a little bit more with some alcohol. All of these are pretty high proof. The lowest one being 122.2, which is the B batch. The C batch is the highest at 136.8. And the A comes in at 135.2. So all pretty high, but that B batch is actually the lowest one I think they've ever released at 122.2. But it's still pretty high for most standards. This one's a little bit sweeter. This one's coming through with more intense vanillas and caramels. You're still getting that honey roasted peanut. There's some chocolate and cherry on there as well. But this one just has a little bit more sweetness to it, whereas this one is a little bit stronger on the oak. So a little bit more oak forward here, but you still get those nice characteristics. This one is kind of a candy bomb. This one is coming through a little bit sweeter. Still some chocolate, still some honey roasted peanut, a little bit of cherry there. Man, both of these noses are just killer. All right, let's go to this one and see what we get here. All right, so this is actually the lightest nose I'm getting on the 3 of them. This one's a little bit more fruity. This one's a little bit more fruit forward. I'm getting some more apple and cherry on here. It's more fruit forward on the nose. You're still getting those caramels, those chocolates a little bit. It's not too oaky on this one. But yeah, a lot of honey roasted peanuts still being Heaven Hill. And this one also has more of an almond characteristic to it too, like a smoky almond. That one's nice. I mean, you have all three batches here. You have the A batch, B batch, C batch, and in any one of these, they're all slightly different, and that's what I wanted to explore today. But enough talking about the nose. I'm going to take some notes real quick, and then we're going to taste all three. All right, I've taken my notes, and now the fun time begins. Let's taste all three and see how they are on the palate. Here we go. Cheers. Oh, man. First sip of these, it's always going to be intense. Just an immediate burst of just intense flavors. Man, just a ton of peanut on the palate. Remember, this is non-chill filtered. There's no water added. This is straight out of the barrel. So it's intense in flavor. The mouthfeel on this is just velvety. It coats the palate. It's going to have a long finish because of that alcohol content. I say they're all going to be pretty high, but this one was pretty intense. So let's go for another sip. All right, so second sip. Now that my palate got used to it a little bit, this one's a little bit more peanut forward, as I was mentioning before. You're getting a little bit of that cherry note, but I feel like the nose is a little bit more complex than the palate. This one is just a vanilla caramel bomb. Definitely some brown sugars there, some cinnamon, especially on the back end. That peppery spice is just kind of lingering. It's really, really nice. All right, one more sip on this one. Well, that one's really nice. That's actually getting nice, a little bit lighter as you sip on it. It's not super intense. I mean, it is on that first sip, but as your palate gets used to it, you start getting the cinnamon, the baking spices now start coming into play. I think there's a little bit of oak tan in there as well. Some that cherry is still lingering a little bit, but the strongest flavor in here is the intense like vanilla extract and that honey roasted peanut characteristic. Really good for the first glass. Let's see how this one stacks up. First, I'm gonna have some water. All right, let's go to the second one here and see what we get. Cheers. Oh, wow. Very different. See, this was the sweeter one on the nose, and this one, that sweetness is translating to the palate. This one is just way more intense in the flavor profile. It just tastes creamier, for lack of a better term. It's really just creamy on the palate. The flavor's very intense. I need another sip of that one. Man, yeah, the flavor on this is staying just like super rich. Whereas this one, the second and third sips I took, the flavor started leveling out a little bit. Whereas this one, the flavor's just staying. You're getting, I mean, it's intense vanillas and caramels. It's deep, rich, dark cherry. You're getting a little bit more of a chocolate note on this one as well. This one's pretty intense. The proof on this one is pretty damn high. I could still feel this one going down. Let's go for another sip here. Yeah. Man, the oak on this one and the cherry and the cinnamon notes, the baking spices I'm getting on this. This one, the thing that's impressing me most about this one is that mouthfeel. It is just super thick and syrupy, even compared to this one. This one was very syrupy too, but this one is just kind of on a little bit of another level here. It's really sticking. You can feel it from the front of the palate all the way to the back. Man, that's a good one. All right, one more sip on this one. Yeah. This one is just, this one is so consistent. It is just staying so flavorful and so intense and so creamy on the palate. There's the oak, there's the cherry, the baking spices are finishing up. The honey roasted peanut is still there, but I think there's intense vanillas and caramels and some cherry that are balancing it out, and the mouthfeel is just taking it to a whole nother level. Wow. Whatever that middle one is just really, really good and really intense. So I'm gonna take some notes real quick. All right, let's go to the last one and see what we get on the palate. Here we go. Cheers. Okay, totally different experience. It's crazy how all three batches taste totally different. I would say these two are closer than this one. This one's really definitely more fruit forward. It's what I was picking up on the nose. It's a little bit lighter on the palate. It's not as intense. Well, it is intense on the palate, but the flavor experience and the intensity aren't as powerful as they were in the first two. But this one's a little bit fruitier, a little bit lighter when compared to the other two. Let's go for another sip here. That one has some really good oak spice. Yeah, definitely I'm getting a little bit of an apricot note in there. That's really crazy. Still cherry, not as chocolate forward on that one. This one, you're still getting all the beautiful baking spices, the cinnamons, the allspice. I mean, the finish on these are just incredible because they're just so long and lingering, and the pepperiness just kind of sticks around with those oak tannins. But yeah, the mouthfeel on it just isn't as intense as the other two. Let's go one last sip here. Yeah, this one has a very oaky finish. It's almost getting a little bit bitter, but still very intense. A lot of good honey roasted peanut characteristic. That one's really good too, but definitely a little bit more fruit forward on this one. All right, so what we're gonna do, since these are so high proof, I know there's probably many of you out there this will be a little bit too intense for. So what I wanna do is add some water to them and see what the water does as far as opening up some flavors. When you proof it down a little bit, what does it turn into before you make your next purchase on one of these bottles? All right, guys, so let's add a few drops here to each one. We'll do one more drop in each here. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let this sit for a few minutes and we'll come back and we'll taste through them and see if the flavors still hold true. All right, guys, I've been letting this sit for about 10 minutes, so let's go back into the nose and see if it changed at all. This one's still pretty intense. They're all gonna still be pretty intense, but this one, the honey roasted peanut characteristic got a little bit more intense. This one stayed very dark and rich, and a lot of that cherry and chocolate is still there on the nose. And this one got a little bit lighter, more fruit forward, but now I'm getting a lot of alcohol. I think the drops of water maybe opened up some of the alcohol notes in there. But yeah, you could smell a lot of oak on there. This one got very cinnamon heavy all of a sudden. This one might have gotten even sweeter. I mean, it's just like a candy shop in there. Actually, this one brought out more of the chocolate intensity a little bit more as well in this one. Whereas this one got a little sweeter overall. I'm smelling a little bit more chocolate in this one with the water. Yeah, I do not like what water did to that one. But let's see what it did on the palate. So here we go. Cheers. Oh man, when you proof these down a little bit, they get really easy to sip. And it's just delicious. The peanut note in it, the peanut butter almost, it became like a peanut butter cup. It's a little bit chocolate, a little bit peanut buttery here on this one. It definitely subdued the finish a little bit, added some of the water to it. Go for one more sip. Definitely more peanut forward on this one when you add a little bit, of water to it. But yeah, you're still getting that little bit hint of a chocolate note characteristic there too. It's really nice. Still getting the oak, still getting a little hint of cherry there, but it's very, very peanutty. It was very peanutty in the beginning, and I think the water just brought that out even more, along with a little bit of a chocolate note there too. So let's go to the second one and see how this one fared with some water in it. That one still stayed intense, still stayed creamy. This one is just super sweet and delicious, has a great balance. It's got the peanut as well, but it still has that vanilla, a little bit of that chocolate note. Man, that one's really good. Yeah, I think this one is probably the best balanced because all the flavor intensity is just all there, but it's all just very well rounded. It's very well integrated too. It's not too one side or the other. This one has just the, everything, the best of both worlds as far as sweetness, finish, mouthfeel. I mean, it's really good. Let's go to the last one and see what we get with a little bit of water here. Oh, the water made that one a little bit better. But I think what the water did here is it just kind of opened up some more flavors here. Those fruit characteristics I was getting here kind of expanded a little bit. It's a little bit more fruit forward. The finish is not as intense, so you're not getting that bitter characteristic that I was getting. One last sip here. Yeah. The flavors here are just not as full flavored. They're there. I mean, they're obviously going to be there. You're going to have the vanillas. You're going to have the caramels. Definitely still that peanut characteristic. They're just not as intense as they are in these glasses. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to rank these, and then we'll find out which one came on top and which one is in each glass. So it is time to find out which batch is in each glass, rank them, and then find out which one would be the best one for you guys. So I'm going to give this one last place. It was already the third one I tried. If you haven't guessed, this wasn't my favorite of the three. Still a delicious bourbon. All three of them are really good in their own way. But this one is a little bit more fruit forward. It had a very intense alcohol type of finish on it when I first tasted it. But when I added the water to it, it really opened it up, became a little bit more fruit forward. The bitterness kind of went away a little bit. So let's find out which one this is. This is the A batch. So the A batch was my least favorite of the three. The A batch comes in at 135.2 proof. Wow. 67.6%. This is the A119 batch. So if you're looking for that type of flavor profile, then you want to seek out the A119, especially if you want to proof your bourbons down a little bit. All right, so the next one is the first one that I tried. I flip-flopped them because this was number one originally, but I put in second place, making the original B my first place. So this one was extremely peanut forward. If you like that peanut, a heavy peanut characteristic on your Heaven Hill or your Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, then this is going to be the one you want to try. It's sweet, it's intense, it gets a little bit more peanutty, like a kind of a peanut butter cup type flavor when you add a little water to it. It was a little bit too much peanut for me at a certain point, that's why I put it in second place. So let's find out which one this was. This is the B batch. So the B batch, which is the lightest one, which comes in at 122.2 proof. This is the B519. So if you like some more intensity in that peanut flavor, that honey roasted peanut, then that's going to be the batch you're going to want to pick up. And that means C is the first place batch, coming in at a pretty high proof on this one. This is 136.8 or 68.4% ABV, the C919 batch. This is intense, it's sweet. I can't get over the mouthfeel on this one. It's creamy. It just sticks to the palate. This was easily my favorite. The best part of this one is the balance in it. You get that honey roasted peanut characteristic, but the vanilla and the caramel and everything that kind of intertwines, the chocolate, the cherry, the cinnamon, the finish, everything just kind of culminates. Everything, all the attributes you get in these two glasses just kind of comes together in this C batch and just gets more and more intense. The C batches for me have been really my favorite for the last 2 years. Last year, the C918 was my favorite, one of my favorite bourbons of the year. I think it was number 2 on my list of bourbons of the year, actually. And this one is pretty damn close. The flavors in here are so intense. It's really creamy. I just feel like the proof point might scare some people off being so high. But even when you add a little bit of water to it, it really holds true. It gets sweet. It still stays intense. My favorite batch of 2019 for the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is the C919. So hope I broke these down pretty well for you. If you see them on the shelf, if those are the flavors you're looking into, you can't go wrong with either one. So happy hunting and hope you enjoyed it. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review of all the 2019 Elijah Craig Barrel Proof bourbons, with C coming out as my favorite. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram and find me on Twitter. If you have any more questions, you could also find me at themasssyndrome@gmail.com. Feel free to email me, contact me on any of the social media platforms. I love talking with you guys. Let me know if you've had all 3 of these, what your thoughts are. And as I always say, it is not about the whiskey. It is the people you share it with. So cheers, and I'm going to have some more C batch. Take care, everybody.